Hello there, this is Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and another card making video. Today I am making mini slimline cards that are interactive. I will be using the large die of the month from Spellbinders for March 2021. This new die set is called Spring Together with a Lever. So there are dies here that create some interactive and moving parts to your cards. This long piece right here is the actual lever. You can see it has these 3 holes in it. Spellbinders recommends that you die cut 2 of these and glue them back to back to make the lever stronger in order to make it a sturdy piece for your interactive elements. So that's what I'm doing here. There are also this die right here that is the arms that you're going to attach the pieces that you want to move. So in this case, it would be the little critters. These tiny little pieces here, I also cut 3 of those, are the stabilizer, so your lever doesn't move up and down. This piece right here is going to cut the opening into your card. You can have 3 openings, 2 openings, or 1 opening, or you can have the openings wherever you like them. This die right here is to replace the arms. This will make an element that wiggles instead of moves back and forth. This die right here creates a little notch so you have a place to grab your lever. Like I said, there are so many dies in this set. There are dies to make a chick, a bunny, a lamb, flowers, and grass, and sentiments. So I'm going to take this piece that will die cut out 3 openings in my background panel, and I'm going to attach 3 arms to the lever, and you're going to do that with a mini brad. So put the arm on top of the lever and then attach the 2 together with a mini brad. And then I have my 3 pieces ready to go. Now, if you only cut 2 openings in your card, you're just going to trim down the lever and only attach 2 arms. Now the arms will slide in the back of your card and stick out the front so you can attach your little critters or whatever you want to have move. And then I'm leaving that in there so I can figure out where to make this notch opening for my lever to stick out of. So I'll line that up and tape it into place, and then I can remove the lever and run this through the die cut machine. And now I have that little notch that will let me grab the lever and move it back and forth. So now I'll go ahead and reinsert those arms starting on the back side of my card, and the lever is going to be just under the notches in the background a little bit, so you don't push it all the way up. Next, you can see these stabilizing pieces have scored lines in them. That is to let you know where to put the glue at the top and the bottom, and don't go past the scored line because you want the lever to be able to move back and forth, but not up and down. You don't want it to wiggle back and forth, or up and down, I mean, too much. So I used 3 stabilizers, and you can see that is just going to move back and forth, and it won't wiggle up and down because of those stabilizer pieces. I'm going to trim away the excess that I don't need on that lever, and then I'm going to start making the front panel to this piece. So I'm using the grass die. I'm going to die cut it 2 times because I want this to be 6 inches long. My card front panel is 3 inches by 6 inches to make a mini slimline. I'm going to attach that to the back of this pattern paper that looks like wood, but what I need to do first is die cut another notch in this piece. So I'm just going to lay it there, line it up, get that little teeny tiny die in place, and tape it down, and then run it through. Now for the grass, I just cut the end off at an angle so it didn't show in that notch, and it worked beautifully. And I glued the 2 pieces together. I'm taking another piece of pattern paper. All the paper I'm using is from the same pattern paper pack, and I'll link that for you below. Next, I am die cutting out all the little pieces to make a critter. So this tiny piece you're going to use on all the animals, but you'll use the same head, the same body, and the same arms for all 3 of the critters. I'm going to make chicks for this card, so I glued the head to the body and then the arms to the back of the body, and this is a little chick. The arms have rounded ends so you know which end to glue down. Next, I am adding the little beak. So cute. And then I'll add some glue to the back of the face and attach a scrap piece of black to fill in the eyes. Just like that. I'll put the other 3 together, and I'm going to kind of play with how I place their arms and how far down I put their head, just to give them their own kind of unique look. Then I'll attach the patterned paper egg. So cute. And then you're going to take and glue the critter to those arms. I had a little too much sticking up past the top of the critter, so I'm just going to trim that down to the size that I need, and I'll do the same for the other two. Now I glued these just right above the opening, the notch in the paper. I think if I had scooted them up a tiny little bit, they would move back and forth a little bit more. Also, I could have trimmed off their feet that stuck out past the egg, but they're not really going to show. I'm going to add that tiny little egg piece to the top of the chicks' heads. I'm going to try and put them in different spots, again, just to help them look a little bit more individual. I'll pop up that, it's kind of supposed to look like a box that the chicks are in with hay, and they just hatched. I'll glue that in place or adhere it in place with some foam squares. And then I die cut Hello Peeps from this same die set from that pattern paper that looks like gingham. And then I die cut a beak from the wood grain paper, and I'm using that as an arrow for this card to put on the lever. And then I'm gluing Peeps in place. You can see I had a little too much glue. I just tapped that off on a scratch piece and then pressed it down with a dry baby wipe or paper towel to hold that in place. And then I used an excessive amount of foam squares to add this panel to my 6x6 card base that is folded in half at 3 inches. And there you can see the little chicks just hatched from their eggs wiggling around in that little box. And then I thought it would be fun to add a little shimmer. So I took my clear Wink of Stella and colored over all the gingham paper. So the words Hello Peeps and the eggs, just to give them a little something extra special on there. I love this card with all the mix of the different pattern papers. I think it turned out really super cute. But I wanted to show you a little bit more about this die set because there is so much you can do with it. So let's jump into card number 2. I'm going to show you how to make this little lamb wiggle. So I have this die right here. This is an extra piece for the die. It cuts out his face, his tummy, and the large part of his ears. The little die cuts out his nose and the insides of his ears. And then I'll take a piece of black cardstock and cover up the back part of his eyes, but you want to make sure that you leave the head and the body separate if you're going to use this wiggle element. I have 2 pieces that I have cut the tops with the grass die. I'm figuring out where I want those to be, and then I'll glue the back one in place before I die cut my 1 slot opening. So I'm going to take this tiny little die, it kind of looks like a tic-tac, and I'll stick that where I want it to be with some low-tack tape and go ahead and die cut through there. And because it's 1 layer of cardstock, 1 layer of pattern paper, it actually works really good. Now I'm using this piece that's the arm from the last card as my lever. Now I could just cut down the actual lever, but my card is so small, it's going to be about half of a 3-inch panel that my lever needs to be on. So using this arm worked out really good. So when you die cut out the pieces that create the wiggle arm, you're going to have 2 pieces. You're going to first attach the one with 2 holes to the lever, and then attach the one that has 1 hole to that to create this long arm that will bend and wiggle in the middle. All right, so now I'm going to insert that through the back of the slot and figure out where I want that to be. I didn't need both of the brads to come up through the slot, just one. And then I can use this as a guide to place my notch die. This time I used a pencil to figure out where that was going to go and line up my die that way, and that seemed a little bit smoother to do. So once that is die cut out, then I can actually attach my lever with my wiggle arm. So I'll get that where I want it, and then I can attach my stabilizer. Now I die cut 2 of them. You can see there I'm trimming off the excess of the lever that I don't need, and I only ended up using 1 of the stabilizer pieces. I wasn't sure, so I die cut 2, but this is so short I only needed 1. Now from the front side, you want to pierce a hole in the center of that opening in the wiggle arm, the top opening and the bottom opening, and you're going to fasten those to the card with another mini brad. So this moving element actually takes 4 brads, And there you can see it wiggle back and forth. Now I'm going to take some foam adhesive strips to attach my body and my head. So the body is going to be attached to the lower portion of the wiggle arm, and the head will be attached to the top portion. So that's why they don't get adhered together, because you want them to move independently of each other. All right, so now I'm adding my second layer of grass before I add on the body, and I'll peel off the backing to just the bottom pieces. No, I lied. I'll peel off both. And I'm going to attach the body first. I pressed it really lightly so that I could figure out the placement or the spacing between the body and the head. I needed to move him up a little bit, so I went ahead and added some liquid glue to make sure this sticks down really well. And then I'll add the head to the top, just like that. And then you can see when I wiggle it back and forth, the head moves back and forth and the body moves back and forth, and they move in the opposite direction. So it kind of looks like he's dancing. And I'm pretty sure he's celebrating the arrival of spring. Just like we all are going to be super excited when the snow melts, the sun shines out, and we can start doing outdoor things again. It'll be so nice. So I glued the two flowers together and added the stem, and then I'm going to add the clouds from this set. There are 2 clouds in the die set, so it helps you create a scene. So all the scene dies they have, the grass, the stem, the flowers, and the clouds really help you make a finished and complete card with the dies just from this set. I also die cut out Hello Spring, and I'm going to glue that between the clouds, and I used light yellow cardstock for that, and I just love how it turned out. Then I will go ahead and pop up this entire panel onto my 6x6 card base that is scored at 3 inches for another mini slimline card. And there he is, celebrating the arrival of spring. Now, for my inside of these cards, I am bringing in the clear stamp set of the month from Spellbinders and taking this cute little sentiment. I'm going to use it on both of these cards, and then I'm going to stamp the Hello Peeps card with wheat ink from Concord and 9th, and then for my Hello Spring, I'm going to stamp it in mushroom ink, and it says, wishing you all the wonderful gifts of spring. Now there is a flower spray in this stamp set. I stamped it with ballet slippers. It was too light, so I brought in, I think it's grapefruit, and stamped over the top, so it has a really light shadow, but I really like how it turned out, and that worked good on both cards. For the arrow on my lamb card, I just drew it in with a pen. I wanted to show you a different way that you could do a little arrow on there. It's really easy to do. So these are my 2 cards featuring the large die of the month from Spellbinders for March 2021. It is an amazing die set. You can make cards with this set that are not interactive. There are so many pieces in it. So I hope that you have learned something from this video, so that when your large die of the month comes, you can jump in and start playing with it. I will see you all again very soon with the Glimmer Hot Foil Kit of the Month video from Spellbinders. So stay tuned for that, and happy stamping. Bye!